welcome to the Love, Discovery, and
Dim Sum
podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We took a little break for the summer.
Yes.
Well, July, really.
Sort of. Not really the whole summer.
Right, but we went to go see some penguins at SeaWorld, and our daughter loves dolphins.
I like killer whales and sharks.
No killer whales and sharks.
Just because they eat penguins.
Well, the sharks don't eat penguins, but the killer whales.
I'm sure if we threw a penguin in front of a shark, he would probably eat it.
Who we should be referring to as orcas. I think they're trying to shed the whole killer whale
They still call them killer whales.
Yeah.
It sounds cooler.
It's just not as, friendly, I think.
Orcas
kids.
just sounds like a burp.
It's Latin.
I like killer whales.
It's Latin.
It's cooler.
Well, before we get into our topic of the day, we're going to be talking about what is an Asian accent. What should be an Asian accent? How do we sound Asian? What does it mean? Do we sound Asian? We have an exciting announcement to make. For those of you who have not seen Far East Deep South, and for those of you who have and want to tell your friends, our film is going to be showing an encore broadcast
Back to school
on PBS once again.
Yep, on September 14th.
Woohoo!
Check
September
your local
14th.
listings, PBS World Channel.
September 14th, check your local listings, PBS World Channel, and it'll be streaming as well.
On the PBS app and on pbs.org, and also on World Channel for 30 days after that broadcast.
So this is your next opportunity to see our film for free. This is a shorter version than the ones we've been showing at film festivals and at private screenings. But it's still good.
It's still mostly there, and all the meat and potato is in there.
It is there. So definitely tell your friends, spread the word, and definitely you can go to our website at fareastdeepsouth.com for more information about those upcoming screenings. Okay, let's dive in. The world is changed so much. We are now completely over COVID.
All right, yeah, we're clear and free. Woohoo! Back to the theaters. Oh, I did go to a theater.
Wait, no, that's not the case, is it?
It's not the case, but I did go back to a theater. Saw Far East Deep South on the big screen 3 days in a row at the Phoenix Film Festival.
That must have been nice.
It was amazing. People were safe.
Wish I was there.
Yes, I wish you were there too, but it's okay.
Why wasn't I there?
Because you had mommy duty.
Yes, I had to take care of our daughter.
So I went with our editor, Dwight Bueller, and that was fun because he got to go to see our film in the theater again.
Guys trip, yeah.
Yep.
Road trip.
1.5 years after our first screening in a live theater.
I know. It's interesting because there have been a lot of actually great movies that have gone to the movie theater, and I don't know how many of you out there have actually ventured into the movie theater during this pandemic, which, for the record, is still going on. There's a Delta variant that is actually quite contagious, and if you are thinking about doing anything reckless, like going around maskless if you're not vaccinated, please don't.
Yeah,
just take caution.
I'm vaxxed, even with some minor side effects, but I'm still walking around with a mask on.
Yeah, so let's be courteous. I saw that in a quote. Somebody was saying, their pastor at their church actually said it's not a political thing to wear a mask. It's just a courteous thing. Yeah. And I was like, that's a very good,
a polite thing.
Yeah, courteous, polite, same thing.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't had this podcast because we've been on vacation.
That's true.
But we want to thank everyone for listening to some of our old episodes, because I've seen there's been a lot of people downloading old episodes. And, one thing that we tackled in the past that is somewhat related to our subject for today is cultural appropriation.
Cultural appropriation.
But why we're going to be talking about specifically accents, it's been in the news recently about appropriation of accents. In fact, this conversation started because Shang-Chi is coming out.
Yep.
We're very excited about that.
Can't wait to watch it.
And we're going to do an episode devoted to Shang-Chi when we see it.
After we watch it.
We're planning to go see a screening when there's nobody there in the movie theater, or like the first one, and like put ourselves in a corner away from anybody, right?
I'm probably not going to sit in the corner. I'm going to try to sit in the middle.
All by yourself. I'm going to sit in the corner.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
No, actually, the sound is better in the middle.
I heard a lot of great reviews from people that have seen it.
Right. No spoilers.
At the red carpet event. I was not invited to the red carpet event.
Actually, we kind of were.
Oh, we kind of were.
We kind of were. That's another long story. But we kind of were, but we couldn't because you were in Phoenix.
That's right.
Going back to the Phoenix thing. So blame Phoenix and Far East Deep South. It's your dream killer. So you were in Phoenix, and so we missed the red carpet for Shang-Chi.
I mean, I should have been in Shang-Chi anyways, but since, for some reason contractually I couldn't, I couldn't agree to terms.
You had an exclusive deal with Far East Deep South.
Yes, I had an exclusive deal with Far East Deep South. That's right. And I could not be in Shang-Chi.
Well, that is one thing, the pandemic, we didn't get to do a big red carpet premiere. So at least Shang-Chi got to do a red carpet premiere. So going back to this topic, so we're reading about Shang-Chi.
Uh-huh.
And there are some haters out there.
There are some haters out there.
Who brought up that they were criticizing Awkwafina, who's in the film. She plays Shang-Chi's best friend or something in the film. That's not really a spoiler. It's in the trailers.
Yes.
And she's had this criticism before, so it's not completely new, but it's been kind of resurfaced again because of she's in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, like, oh, she's got a black accent.
Whatever that means, okay.
She's sounding black, even though she's Asian.
You know, I've had black people tell me, what do you mean I sound black? How do I sound? So what does that really mean? Because I have black people telling me, like, what does black sound like? Why do people say we sound black? And then they say, like, so I don't understand what this article is all about.
Well, you know,
black people don't seem to know.
And the thing is, she is from Queens, New York.
Uh-huh.
So she actually speaks more with, like, a Queens accent.
And she has her own unique little raspy voice, you know?
Right. And so that's kind of how she was brought up. She was born here, raised here. So, I mean, when people say, like, she sounds black, like, how is she supposed to sound? Is she supposed to sound, quote-unquote, white?
Oh, yeah. What does white sound like? Wait, do I sound white right now? I don't know.
I don't even know what kind of accent you're trying to do.
I have no idea what accent I just...
I think it was sort of like a faux British accent. Like, do we even sound, quote-unquote, white? I mean, should we sound Norwegian? I don't know.
I'm a white scent right now.
In fact, this is not just an issue, criticism for wanting to sound less something, but there are a lot of people that try to tell us to sound more Asian, right? In fact, this is an issue in America for sure. I have gone on auditions where people have said, now can you do that with an Asian accent?
Like which Asian?
In Variety, there was an article recently about actors in the UK across the pond. They have similar issues.
Across the pond? In my white accent?
I have a cousin who is actually from the UK.
Yeah.
And he speaks with a proper Queen's English.
It's okay to do that because the foundations of America is British.
We should all be speaking British, right? Yes, so because that's where we're all really from, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I'm really from.
Where this country really is from. Yeah. So I'm not really sure how we lost that.
Okay. Anyways, keep going. Sorry.
They were saying how actors there also get asked all this time, and I'm quoting, it's like, I was told to sound more Asian. And this actor's like, but Asia's a continent. Like, which Asian? I mean, somebody from South Asia.
From USSR.
Even, like, India, or even, like, within China, you have different accents.
Well, Soviet Union, like, that's a big part of Siberia. That's in Asia.
Even just going back to China, like, if you're from Shanghai, you have a little bit of an accent. I mean, you hear my relatives on my mom's side.
Yes.
Different accent than if you're from Beijing.
And from Hong Kong, definitely
right,
different.
From Hong Kong, or your family from, you know, Guangdong. And so there's different nuances, even just like here. We have people from New York, like back to Awkwafina. She's from New York. We're from California.
Don't be doing that York scent.
That New York accent.
You're gonna get appropriated for New York.
Because I'm a California, like totally. I'm totally from California.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you don't sound like a Californian.
Oh my gosh, like some people do tell me that I do sound like a Californian.
We did that when we were in Mississippi. They're like, you all have an accent.
We have a bunch of Southerners with really, really deep accents who grew up in predominantly black neighborhoods in the South.
Yes, so they are black scenting.
I don't know. Are they not allowed to sound Southern because that's how they grew up?
Yeah.
And so
they weren't allowed to talk to white people at some point.
So. And I know you, and I know like some of this discourse about Awkwafina, they're telling her not to sound black, and that's again driving kind of a division, right?
Yeah, especially when you got white people trying to be like, oh, those Asian people sounding black. You guys, black people, better be upset at this. Let's divide you some more.
You brought this up, but you've had friends who, I mean, they're my friends too, who have said like they get that. Oh, can you sound more black?
Yeah.
Like in fact, this Variety article, not us telling them, can you sound more black, but you've had actors who have said, like, can you make it more street or urban? In this article, like in the UK, these actors that are black had the same thing. It's like, could you do the black thing?
Yes.
And like, what does that mean? Like, that's also equally as racist to tell somebody.
I have black friends that are professionals, not just in entertainment, but like in engineering and corporate, right?
Yeah.
They just sound like an American person, right? Speaking English. And then people will be like, oh, you don't sound black. And they're just like, what does that mean?
Yeah, Yeah,
you mean?
I mean,
sound black.
and in a sense, like,
Like,
they wrestle with the same thing we do sometimes. It's like, are you black enough or not black enough? Like, what is an appropriate level of blackness?
They're on the phone call, and then when they meet them in person, they're like, oh, I didn't expect you to be black.
What's an appropriate level of, like, Asianness, right? Like, because I think,
I've had people say that to me, too. Like, oh, I talked to you on the phone, and then your name is Baldwin, right? And then I meet you, and like, oh, you're Asian. It's like, oh.
I've had people say that to me, too.
Sound right to you?
Yeah, oh, you're not the way I thought you would look, which was code for, I thought you were white. Yeah.
Sheesh. And then my favorite, like, I mean, I love Wu-Tang Clan, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, who's getting on their case about, like, Asian scenting, right? I mean, I just read an article in Men's Health, and RZA writes an article about having his Shaolin influence and teaching about Tai Chi and proper breathing to get your Chi flow. He's now the expert at Shaolin Kung Fu and Chi mastering. I'm like, I think I could have written that. But you got to let me join Wu-Tang Clan then. Because I can both rap and I know how to do Tai Chi. I should be Wu-Tang Clan. They are now appropriating me.
Yeah, so I know this is like such a interesting conversation always about identity, right? Like, this is at the core. I mean, this is why we're bringing it up, because we like to talk about how we frame identity. And I've been in so many situations, and I may have shared this before, where even as a composer, not just even speaking, you know, I've written music for projects that they said, like, oh, we want like a Chinese pop song. Uh-huh. And if you know what Chinese pop song, it's like K-pop or whatever, right? It's like basically quote unquote American pop music.
Just pop music done by Asian people.
Within a different language, right? Yeah. And then they'll say, no, not like, you know, the lyrics are in Chinese or whatever that I've written or working on. And they're like, can you make the music more Asian?
The music, not the person.
The music. No, not the lyrics.
Because the person's already singing in their ethnic language.
Right, but like, can you make the music more Asian? Because, again, going back to sound, like, people just think, like, you have to have a pentatonic scale or you have to have a zither in there.
Okay, so when...
Or a pipa, you know, some of these, an erhu, which I did. I threw it in this one particular song.
Are these Asian?
It was an erhu. No,
these Asian people telling you to do these Asian
these are not Asian clients that I have.
Okay.
You know, and I even worked with a producer who was a Caucasian woman, and she was like, I totally get it, but unfortunately our clients who are not Asian,
they just
need to...
They want to hear your broken
Asian.
English.
Right, because the sad thing is they basically are going like, well, if we wanted something that wasn't Asian, we would have gone to a non-Asian composer. Do you know what I mean? Like, they got to me because, like, oh, you can make it more Asian because I'm the Asian composer and all I can do is make things more Asian.
That just means they just continually want us to be foreign.
Exactly. I mean, that continues to perpetuate that foreign othering of our community, which is, again, even pervasive. Not just even in language.
Yeah, like, you guys can't understand English, so you might as well speak English with a broken accent so we can understand your English better. What?
And so, I mean, we never go around telling white people, like, oh, you need to sound more German, or you need to sound more Ukrainian, or you need to sound more Irish. Like, you know, why aren't you all speaking like leprechauns?
I still can't tell the difference between Scottish and Irish accents. So I guess it's okay for me to tell them all, like, y'all all sound the same. Oh, shoot. Was that a black accent just now?
No, it's your Southern accent because your family's from Mississippi.
I said y'all. That's right.
You're from Mississippi now. We are appropriating Southern culture. Seriously, though, when we spend a lot of time in Mississippi, I do come back with kind of a Southern accent.
I did start saying y'all.
I actually had a roommate who is South Asian, you know, from India, or at least her family. She was born here just like me. She went to medical school in England. And when she came back, she actually started speaking with a British accent because she's 24/7. And then people made fun of Madonna when she started speaking with a British accent because she, you know, at the time had married Guy Ritchie, who's a Brit. And she was living in, you know, England. And so she would be speaking with this faux British accent or whatever. And people kept saying she was appropriating or, you know, adopting that.
We have a friend from, like, Brazil who's Korean.
Right.
So is he and he totally sounds like a Brazilian dude.
Yeah, he's got a Brazilian, you know, accent.
So is he appropriating? Is it a brasscent? Is he doing a brasscent? Or I had a coworker, total white guy, who walked into a Japanese company that I worked for and started speaking with a Japanese accent to his English.
Intentionally, or like did he spend time in Japan?
Should we be upset when we see a white guy speaking with a Japanese accent at a Japanese company? Like, is he making fun of Japanese people?
I don't know. Is he?
Well, he was born in Japan.
Oh, so he did grow up in Japan.
Yes. So he sounded like his environment.
So he was more Asian than we were. Because he was, like, he's from there.
He actually read
he's from there.
and spoke Japanese as well.
Yeah.
And he spoke English with a Japanese accent.
I have a friend who...
We thought he was making fun of him. We're like, that's wrong.
Yeah, I actually have a friend who's from Nashville. He's Korean American. And when he went to college, people thought he was making fun of Southerners because he had a Southern accent. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm from Nashville. Like, how am I supposed to sound?
Yeah, sound like an Asian person from Nashville then.
And then people had to apologize because, like, they were, like, totally thinking he was making fun of Southerners. And he's like, no, that's just how I sound.
Yeah.
I'm from the South.
Like, you're going to sound like where you're surrounded by.
Right.
And so all this stuff, I mean, I feel like they're just pitting more racism by making these dumb articles about Awkwafina. And it's like, it just bothers me because I feel like we're trying to finally be represented as Americans. And we finally have a film that's a Marvel movie where we get to be the superhero and not just the sidekick and not just the kung fu bad guy. By the way, if you don't like Awkwafina sounding whatever Black Scent really is, then we should cancel all the martial arts, all the Marvel movies, because guess what? All the martial arts martial arts is being used in all the action sequences.
Yeah, just Marvel, right? Like everything, right?
Right. So, I mean, it bothers me. Like we're finally coming up a little bit, just a little bit, to get the proper.
And people are nitpicking.
They're nitpicking at things that don't even exist.
Yeah, or don't matter, right?
They don't matter and they don't exist.
It's one thing.
They're trying to make it matter.
Right. It's one thing if she had spoken. Like there are some people that, get flack about that Rachel Dolezal, the former NAACP, president of the chapter, who was actually white.
Yeah.
She identified as black.
Yeah.
And she passed herself off as
and she
black.
Spoke black, whatever that is.
But she was really white, right? And like that warranted some criticism because she was representing herself in a way that really wasn't, who she was. And I mean, it's one thing if Awkwafina was like from the Midwest and she was,
pretending she was from
Queens and everything like that, but like she really is from Queens, and like that's just how
everyone talks over there
in Queens. And right. I don't even think compared to a lot of other people's accents, if you've all been to Queens, like some of them have really thick accents.
Yes.
Or go over to Long Island or the Bronx and you got some really, really thick New York accents, right?
Yeah. So, oh man, I can keep going on this, but I don't want to.
So what is the solution to this? Is there a solution? Like what do we want people to take away from this conversation?
Stop being dumb. Wait, do I need to give details on how to not be dumb?
Maybe just a little bit.
Get to know people. Get to know where they're from. Stop thinking that Asian people need to sound a certain way because we look a certain way. We're all here so many of us live in America. So many of us are born in America. Asian people have been in this country since the 1500s. We don't have Asian accents. We have American accents. And those accents fluctuate just like every other ethnic group's accents fluctuate depending on where they live and where they were from and where they are moving to and who their friends are.
You're a product of your environment.
Yes, that's the beauty of America. We all can blend together in harmony, but we can all look different and sound different. And we can move around. We can change. We can be like water.
Oh, to quote Bruce Lee.
Yes, we can be like water.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, we're talking about this not just being limited to the United States, as we were talking about UK actors or our friends who are Brazilian, of Asian descent, who struggle with the same identity issues. I've got Aussie cousins in addition to my UK cousins, and they have incredibly thick Australian accents, which I love because, sometimes I actually have to ask them, like, what they just, like, to repeat something.
What did you say?
And, I know my cousin Andrew, he'll sometimes translate into American English because they watch all the American TV and films, and he'll be like, he'll be like, oh, I know what you mean. Like,
this brings up a whole nother topic. American Hollywood companies and films hiring people from Canada and the UK to do American English.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The article in Variety actually was saying how a lot of the British actors who are black come to the United States only because it's even worse in the UK, where if you're black and you speak with a British accent, they, again, are trying to cast you in a certain way. actually in the United States, they were saying they're getting like more work here because there's just a more variety of roles. Of course, they're all putting on American accents. So like that's bringing up to your point. It's like, are they allowed to be American even though they're British? And Nicole Kidman's Australian.
I know.
And she's going to be playing like
for a while, for a long time.
She's played a lot of Americans.
Yes.
And she's going to be playing Lucy, I Love Lucy, Lucille Ball.
So that goes to me, like, even when I bring my non-Chinese friends to a restaurant, do I tell them how to say cha siu bao or chow mein? Or do I teach them how to say chow mein? Do I say har gao? Right? No, I'm going to teach them how to say ha gao. Stop saying ha gao. You make it sound, you're Asian scenting. Stop sounding so proper in a Chinese restaurant. Say it wrong.
I mean, our daughter goes to Mandarin immersion school, and she has classmates that are not of Asian descent.
Yeah.
And
they speak better Chinese than me. There's black people.
I know. Are they allowed to speak Chinese?
Stop sounding so Chinese when you speak Chinese. You're just a black kid or a white kid or a Latino kid. You need to sound more white.
It's just kind of in the way like where there's a lot of quote unquote Westerners, whether they're white or whatever, that go to Asia
and they start singing in Chinese.
They sing in Chinese, and then
there are black people that sing in Chinese very well and are popular in China.
And they love them because they're like, oh, look at the Westerner who's singing in Chinese. But we go over there.
Yeah, we're here in America and we sing a song in English. Oh, look at that Chinese person who can speak and sing English and rap in English so well. They don't say that to us here.
And we go over there and they're like, why are you singing in English? Like, if we're going to get somebody to sing in English, we get somebody who's really, like, American.
Yeah.
And so
it goes back to, are we Americans? Do we belong here or not? And what do people really want us to
So we're rejected by both cultures.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we have an axe to grind? Maybe, just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why we have a podcast to talk about
But I
these
hope when
things.
you guys listening gets a little bit more insight on all this nonsense that's out there about, like, who we're supposed to look like, sound like, eat like, I don't know. Like, we're not allowed to, oh my gosh.
At the end of the day, I think there are times when if people are clearly mocking someone, if they are
That's true.
profiting off of it in a way that, again, isn't authentic, then I think there can be an issue. At the same time, it's like, just at the surface level, or the expression, don't judge a book by its cover. In Awkwafina's sense, it's like, if you didn't know her background, you're making that assumption, you're making that judgment. And it also goes back to the original question, is like, why are you making that judgment?
Well, now they're asking people to cancel Shang-Chi because of this notion.
Or they're trying to boycott
it, right? And it's
like, what are you going to do? Take her out of the film or overdub her voice with, like, what?
Well, it's like, why didn't you cancel, like, Kill Bill? Why isn't Tarantino canceled? Because, I mean, David Carradine, clearly Asian appropriating in Kung Fu.
Right.
And then he gets recast in Kill Bill as the lead and the main star. Like, the whole premise of Kill Bill
is
David Carradine, who doesn't even really know martial arts in the first place. And he makes all these lame Tai Chi videos for libraries. I can go on a whole soapbox about that guy.
All right. That's a soapbox for another day.
But we don't cancel Tarantino for doing that kind of stuff.
People call it, quote unquote, cancel culture. I mean, I think the nitpicking over certain things, it starts to get out of control. And honestly, a lot of it is just selective outrage, right? Like, you're outraged about this, but just like you said, you're outraged about Awkwafina having a Queen's accent, quote unquote, sounding black. And then you're not outraged at this other stuff that has happened in the past.
I'm sad to say that I do believe this is an extension of the anti-Asian hate right now. The hate going on, the anti-AAPI stuff. This is more stuff to say, like, we definitely don't want to see Asians in America move forward because we want to continue to hate on that community.
Going back to the model minority myth, in a sense, I mean, that's part of the issue. Is I think there is a sense of jealousy and a fear of a threat from our community.
When we're all just a bunch of hardworking middle class people that supposedly on paper, If they put
as much energy to be concerned about Awkwafina's accent, they should be more concerned about why we're not being taught Asian American history in schools.
Yeah.
Why are we not taught the systemic issues that have come out and generational trauma that's come out of the Chinese Exclusion Act? How about all the massacres that happened and the race riots that happened to the Asian community in the 1800s and the early 1900s across the United States? Those are things we don't talk about, right?
Yeah, they find the worst or the things that they want to become bad, and then they bring those out.
Yeah, how about human rights violations by countries around the world? You know, how about the lack of education with women in girls in many third world countries? Like, I mean, there's a lot of other issues, even just here at home. How about the homelessness issue? Like, let's tackle like real issues rather than canceling somebody because of their accent.
Which is rightfully hers.
I mean, there are a lot of bigger real world issues that are literally affecting people's lives, that are life and death. We hope that you can have constructive, positive conversations about this. We like hearing different accents from all different types of people, right?
Yes.
Because that's what makes this world beautiful.
That's what makes America beautiful.
We all have a unique story. God has made us all unique individuals with different experiences and different heritages, and we should celebrate that and embrace that rather than tear each other down.
And we shouldn't be afraid to put ourselves in different surroundings that aren't typically ours. We should be open to going to those surroundings and letting those other surroundings influence us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't make fun of Southerners anymore.
No.
Wait, did I ever make fun of Southerners?
Did you?
I hope I didn't.
Oh, you probably did.
Well, I mean, with the Southerners thing, I think everybody has that stereotype of rednecks or whatnot going to, like, the Deep South. And we get that a lot, right? Like, we get a lot of people who watch our film Far East Deep South, and they go, wow, Chinese with Southern accents. And then, like, how did you feel when you first went there? Like, did they treat you funny? You know, they're talking about the non-Asians, right? Like,
right.
And we always say, it's like we actually had a lot of Southern hospitality. And we got to know the people there. And, you know, this is in some of our other podcasts, but being in California, which is considered progressive and multicultural, we've actually faced and encountered more racism here than we have back in what you would consider the former segregated South, right?
Yeah, so I think the moral of the story is let people be American. Allow us to be American, and let us just all appreciate our surroundings.
If you want to catch up on some of our older episodes, we did cover cultural appropriation and some of these other topics, identity, in previous podcasts. Go to our website, podcast.loveanddiscovery.com. You can also subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already on Spotify or anything that plays a podcast. And feel free to reach out to us on social media at LDD Podcast.
And go watch Shang-Chi.
Yes, watch Shang-Chi, support this film so that more films like this can be made that represent our community in a new light. And of course, if you want to watch Far East Deep South, September 14th, mark that date, 8/7 Central, check your local listings. Far East Deep South is coming back to your TVs, and then it will also be streaming online.
For 30 days after.
30 days after that. So this is your new opportunity to watch Far East Deep South. We appreciate you listening today, and we will see you next time on Love, Discovery, and Dim Sum.